Welcome, everyone, to another exciting month with the $1 Million Mindset and unlocking your success. And I just love to share this song with everyone as we begin our training tonight. So we do have a blueprint for the future, and I really hope that you could hear the words to that song and the lyrics. And if you could, in the chat room, just say, yes, you could hear it, that would be great. And my recommendation is that you really should have this on your smart device to listen to in your car when you're maybe at the gym or just, in your home. These lyrics really hit home to who we are and where we are going. So for some of you, because we have so many new people in our Zango family, my name is Sandi Cohen, and I'm married to my childhood sweetheart, Ed, probably for more years than most of you are old. In fact, our grandsons are visiting from Philadelphia, and we took them to a magic show last week. And it was a riot because the magician made a statement that he had just turned 50. And he asked me how long am I married to my husband? And it was hard to believe that we're actually married more years than he has been on this earth. Pretty scary. And, of course, he couldn't believe it because, of course, what do? We take all the Zango products. But Tonight is a very special call, and they're all special, obviously, but I really believe that the lessons you will learn this month could guarantee, and that's a strong word, guarantee your success. So think about that. I mean, think hard, and hopefully you've got a pen and paper in hand, and hopefully, if you read my email, you've also got a spiral notebook, hopefully a brand new one, to take some incredible notes. But think about this. What if you knew your success was guaranteed? What if you knew you could not fail? Would you be willing to do some simple tasks? So think about that. And the goal setting tonight, we're going to start out with my good friend, Jo. And let me get to her photo. Jo and her son David, just an incredible couple. We just spent a few days together in Dallas at the A&MP event because they are committed to, did I say son David, her husband David? Eddie just walked in my office, so forgive me. I didn't have my pro cocktail at 4 o'clock like I normally do before a call, but I did have it this morning. Guess it's wearing off. Anyway, Jo and her husband David and her 2 kids actually were in Dallas at the A&MP event because they too know the importance of never, ever improvement. And Jo and I have a lot in common. We've got East Coast roots. She was born in Brooklyn, and we were born in Philadelphia. And she grew up in Alabama. Huge family, 9 brothers and sisters. married to her best friend David, and 2 great stepchildren, and pretty smart lady, bachelor's in psychology, but became very disillusioned with how people were treated that were supposed to be protected. She worked in customer service for a checking company, became a manager within 12 months, and worked there for 7 years until the company shut down. She then immediately got her certified driver's license and decided to go on the road with her husband as a truck driver. And she's been doing that for 9 long years and is obviously eager to get off the road. So, Joe, thank you for joining us. I know you're probably calling from the cab of the vehicle, and hopefully we'll be able to hear you, but you always have such wonderful things to share about these lessons that we all learn and grow from. So I'm going to mute myself out and turn it over to you. Welcome, Joe, to the call.
Thank you, Sandy. I love you dearly. I tell you, I learn so much every month from these things, and I'm just so excited. Brian, he's so detailed, where that's somewhere I must admit at times I have lacked. And he is teaching me the importance of details. And this month was about details of our goals. And I never realized how important, you have to really get into visualizing and writing down. Not only writing down, I've written goals down before, but just getting into a lot more details as to exactly all of what we want. So, he starts off with how to set and achieve goals. He says any system is better than no system when trying to attain a goal. And, that's with a lot of things. It's better to try than not try at all, right? For major obstacles to goal setting, he said there's 4 major obstacles. People don't understand the importance of goals. People don't know how to set goals, and I can see that is true. I've accomplished things in the past, and I've set goals in the past, but not at this level of detail, at this level. So, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, that can change. Fear of rejection, criticism, and nobody likes rejection. In the past, people made fun of you maybe, of your dreams, and something I found extremely important I have learned is that you cannot always share your dreams, your big hopes, your big ideas with everyone, because some people have no big ideas and no dreams, and it makes them uncomfortable. And the fact that you're making them uncomfortable and they need to feel comfortable, they will shut you down. So I've learned that the hard way. So that's something, that I've learned to only share with dreamers and share with other people who have similar goals. For instance, our wonderful mentor, Sandi here. Fear of failure. No one likes to fail, but that's part of the process, right? Protecting ourselves from low self-esteem. We don't set any goals, and so we don't fail, So that I found that also interesting. He says it's a systematic process or blueprint for goal setting, increasing your chances by 1,000 times. And there were several studies done with Harvard and Yale in regards to people setting their goals. And when they checked years later, they found that those who written their goals down were way past, 1,000 times past financially. Many of the other people who didn't even set goals, they didn't write down their goals, they didn't do any of those things. So there's something definitely to it. Again, he says any plans are better than no plans. The ability to make plans and set goals for success is the master skill. Not just to write them down, but set a goal post. And have many small goals in between are also important. Desire is, if you don't have a desire, a drive, I've always been a very driven person, and you have to have that passionate desire, and the products in this business, I tell you what, they get you pumped up, they get you excited, and, just because of what they do for us, what they do for me personally, right? You have to have hunger and a burning intensity. I love this part because he talked about When you have a burning intensity, you get impatient about sleeping, you get impatient about watching TV, and you don't have time for complaining friends. And this is so true. When you are really busy doing what is your goal, what your dream is, and you're having fun at it, and you're loving what you're doing, things that might have seemed important in the past just don't have the same kind of importance. You realize they really are not going to help you towards your goal, so they're just not as important. Belief means an absolute conviction for your goal, that your goal is possible. Your rules about belief will become your reality, he said, making your goals believable and achievable. Best goals are small. This is something I had to learn. I've always been a big dreamer, but sometimes it's the smaller goals that you have to set and achieve before you can get the big goals set up. It worked for me in the past even. I remember college and other things, and it works. You set these small little goals because you can't get a 4-year degree within a month, so you have to set goals by semester. And the same for the business. You have to set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals to achieve what you want to achieve in this business. He said, write it down. It takes on a form. It's real. It's tangible. And there's something about taking notes, sometimes with pencil or pen, seems to even help me remember things better than even typing. But there's something to that tangibility in writing it down. And that's something that I think people overlook often. He says you must have clarity. And if you notice, if you listen to the other Brian Tracy modules, he has brought this up several times. Clarity. You have to be specific, measurable. Write down your business plan, and we are in a business, so that's necessary. And he says it forces you to think it through and be more precise, and that is so, so true. And you'll find that there are things that you want that when you really get it down to details, there's some old stuff that you want also that's in connection to the big goal and the big dream, right? Analyze your starting position. Practice the reality principle. Determine how far that you need to go. He says set a deadline. A goal without deadline, it is a fantasy. And that is so, so true. Deadline is forcing system in the subconscious mind. And it also helps break it down. If you have one big deadline, but you have other deadlines in between, it's not as overwhelming, and it makes it more doable. It just makes it easier to accomplish. Identify obstacles that you will have to overcome. Where great goals exist, great obstacles exist. I tell you, at 43, if they're younger people, I'm sure you also get it, right? In life, anything worth anything means you're going to go through some things, and you got to jump over some hoops, and nothing worth anything just rolls in your lap. You have to learn some things and get over some obstacles in order to attain that. 80% of the obstacles are internal. Most of your obstacles are in you. I have learned. I had to laugh when he said this, and it's like, oh, how true this is. You have to get real with yourself and know where your weak spots are and work on that. And this is why these assignments are so wonderful. They help us to kind of tease out and work out whatever that thing is, and so that we can be better for not only ourselves and family, but for our team. Identify your rock, your obstacles in your path, and remove it. Identify additional knowledge and skills that you will need to accomplish your goals. What one skill, if you developed it and became excellent at it, would impact your business and the biggest way? And he's mentioned this before, and that's something you have to narrow down. That's personal for yourself, and usually it has to do with something within ourselves we know we have to work on. It could be our egos. We could be impatient. It could be that we're not good at goal setting. It could be that we're disorganized. Whatever those things are that we have to work on, narrow it down, nail it down, master that, and then we will accomplish so many great and wonderful things. Identify the people, organizations whose help that you will require. own. Check company, I tell you, there is no way I could have accomplished. There is no corporation, there is no company that accomplishes what they accomplish on their own. So you always have to have help. You always need a team of people. And, you know, it is so wonderful being in this group of people because, you know, we're surrounded by like minds and people who are willing to help, even if it doesn't benefit them financially. It's just because they want to be there for one another, right? What is in it for them, and how can you get cooperation? That's something you have to keep in mind. You want to make sure that you're looking out for people who are looking out for you. Make a plan. Organize your list. Be chronological with it. He says visualize. Imagine your goal already created. Act as if. Act as if you're already there. And then he says back your goals and plans with persistence and determination. Be unstoppable. I tell you, I love it when he says that, right? Be unstoppable. You know, and there are movies that come to mind when I think of these. You know, I love Rocky. I always like movies like that, you know, that where, you know, even if you fall down, you're going to get back up and you're going to fight again and you're going to win and you're going to be a champion because that is who you are, right? And so that's what we do. We're champions. We overcome. And finally, there are no real limits except for the limits we place on ourselves.
I'm losing you, Joe. Okay.
Oh, I'm
You're
so
back.
sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
And finally, like I said, there are no real limits except for the limits we place on ourselves. We can't control anyone else.
You know, it's interesting what Joe is sharing. I think we just lost her. But we have a total of 4 people that are going to share the lessons that they learned from this training. And I don't know about you, but most people, I'll give you an example. You listen to a CD and you go back and listen to that CD maybe the next day or a couple of days later, and all of a sudden you're going to hear things that you did not hear the first time. You did, but it didn't register. So with each of the speakers and what they share, it's repetition, but each of them express themselves a little differently. And you need to, if you haven't written some detailed notes through this session, then it's really important that you take notes from what they're sharing with you. So thank you, Joe, for making yourself available. Now, next sharing our call with us is my good friend Mark from California. Mark is a pretty sharp guy. He grew up in the Midwest and went to MIT and graduate school at Stanford. So he's smart. Worked in the Silicon Valley and developed software for most of his career, and in 2003 moved to Northern California to jump into the real estate market. And Mark's first experience in network marketing was in the late 90s, and he has tough skin. He actually built a direct distributorship in the Big A in Amway, which is no easy task. Great training, but tough to make money there. And he joined Zango several years after moving to Sacramento. He's got 2 kids, a dog. Both children are now productive adults, one living on West Coast, another on the East Coast. And he bounced back from the crash of 2008, as most of us have done. And now Zango is a big part of his future. We have a lot in common because we're both students of Esther Hicks and Abraham. So, Mark, if you're with us, over to you, dear.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you very much.
Hey. Hi.
Audio good? Okay. Hey, I just want to, first of all, Joe, fantastic sharing. I hope you're still out there. That was just wonderful to hear. I'd like to share with folks what impacted me the most about these chapters. First, that studies have shown that 3% of people have written goals, that 13% have goals in their mind but not written, and that the other 84% of us haven't set goals. But interestingly, the 13% have twice the average income that the 84% have, and the 3% have 10 times the average income that the 84% have. So there's something about having the goals and writing the goals that make the difference. Now, Brian said the ability to set goals and make plans is a master skill of success. I have the big concession here, mea culpa. I have not been one of the 3% in the past. And I got to tell you, folks, I am not where I want to be in life. Therefore, it's time for me to change and master this skill. Brian says a key to making this work for you is belief in the process. He says you need to have an absolute conviction that your goal is possible. And to do this, you want to make your goals believable and achievable, but they should stretch you a little. He says if you lack confidence, then act confident, and you'll wind up feeling confident, and then you will be confident. This is why people say, fake it till you make it, which is actually a poor description of what's going on, in my opinion. I think practice it until you have it is a much better description. Belief is critical because your beliefs become your reality. That made a big impact on me. Next point, write it down. This is what distinguishes the 3%, right? There's that 3% that have written it down, the 13% that have goals but haven't written it down, and the 3% are making 10 times what everybody makes, and the 13% are only making 2 times. So, and Brian says that 3%, everybody else works for them. Writing it down makes the thought into something physical. The key insight. There's some critical part of the process right there, because writing it down makes the thought into something physical. My theory is that in writing it down, you're activating some form of visualization. And in fact, you should visualize your goal as a reality every day. Affirm your goal. You know, I earn $4,000 a month, for example. See it in your mind, and then act as if you have already reached it, and invest some time actively enjoying that feeling. Let that vibration resonate. That's an important thing, and students of Abraham will certainly identify with that. Brian says, amplify your why. The more reasons you have, the more fuel you have for the fire, and the greater your motivation to accomplish your goal. Finally, a goal without a deadline is merely a fantasy. He quotes Don Sutton, who says, there's no such thing as an overambitious goal. There are only overambitious deadlines. So that was impacting me the most of this. Sandi, back to you.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you so much for taking time to share your thoughts with us and keeping to our time limitation as well, which is really, really hard to do. Next is my good friend Tessa Greenspan, and boy, is she not only a beautiful lady, but she's beautiful inside and out. She's the former owner of Sappington Farmers Market in St. Louis, Missouri, and she's actually one of St. Louis's most influential women in business. She's a speaker who focuses on inspirational business topics and, of course, how to live a healthy lifestyle. No wonder she is in Zango. She presents to all types of organizations, including MBA students. She's currently growing a healthy Zango product business, and she's a personal mentor to many business owners. She's sponsored countless charitable causes, collaborated with local schools and teacher programs to further their methodologies in teaching students practical business skills. So Tessa is an influencer and a role model. And she's actually been recognized on both the local and national level for her generosity and community spirit, such as National Woman Grocer of the Year, the Diversity Award from Washington, D.C., E-Women Award out of 5 women as an outstanding nationwide business woman. She was selected as one of 25 most influential women in St. Louis by the St. Louis Business Journal. So what we have here is a very special lady whose heart is literally on her sleeve to make a difference. So Tessa, do share with us, what impacted you with this, to me, such an important lesson. Like Joe said, like Mark said, if we do the simple task of writing things down, we can achieve anything. So over to you, Joe.
Tessa. It's Tessa.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tessa, yes.
Yeah, but Joe and Mark did a great job, and I'm sort of going to recap it. I do want to say this, that it has been proven by writing it, not typing, but by writing it, it changes. Somehow the writing process changes neurotransmitters, which helps your mind to accept it much quicker. You can type it then, but writing it down, it's a proven fact that by writing it, it is more impactful than typing it or any other means. So anybody can check that out. You can Google it, actually. One of the things also I wanted to say, on the visualization, making a movie of what we want in life is so important. And like Abraham Hicks, if you hold that movie in your mind for 17 seconds, it becomes a way of life. And so I'd like to encourage everybody, or double that even. But when we make the visualization as far as what we are and where we're going, and by the way, Mark and Joe mentioned that do a little step at a time rather than bigger. And I found that I personally did too big, and so this chapter has been so good. It's a refresher. Even if you know things, it's so important to go back and hear it from Joe and Mark too, as far as hearing it from someone else. And you're so right, Sandy. Repetition is so important. And, I can sort of recap what they've done, and it's like there are 4 obstacles. And it's so important for each of us, and I'll speak for myself, I won't project that, but is to think about, what is my fears? What is my things that are stopping me? What do I do that I can improve on? And we are all work in progress, and I'm a big work in progress. But then being systematic in it, and then what Joe had said this earlier, that any plan is better, but it's really important, better than no plan. It's really important for us to have a plan. We have phenomenal people like Sandy Cohen and many others that we can follow. If something has been done before, we can do it again. These are not something that isn't pie in the sky. We have examples and role models of people who have done it. And so it's like follow and just emulate and do the things that the people that have been successful do. And it's being persistent and consistent. And it's our beliefs. It's our belief in ourselves. And it's so important to constantly work on our beliefs, listening to the call, listening even to the Tuesday nights, autism and different things that people have had great results with. It's just inundating ourselves with all of these different kinds of things to make sure that we're on the path. If you have a down day or a discouragement, then go to XU and listen to some of the founders, listen to some of the past presentations. I mean, we have so much now. I am more excited than any time because we have so many tools that is going to make it so much better for us. And our goals, we must believe our goals. We must believe it in our minds and hold it. And the Abraham Hicks, I love it too, by the way. Absolutely love it. It's holding that vision in our mind, making the movie of what we're doing, our next advancement, making the movie of who. I even do things that these are people that I want as distributors, like this one, like that one, these people that have these great skills. So I'm even visualizing the people who are coming. I'm attracting people into my life who we are like-minded and who want to make a lot of difference. But it's identifying also It's believing and knowing without any shadow of a doubt, and being persistent. There's a saying: winners never quit, and quitters never. No, it's quitters never win, and winners never quit. So, in obstacles, you just go on to the next. Surround yourself with the people that have done this. Surround yourself with the people who will uplift you, who will make a difference, and do not procrastinate. I look at myself, and this has been so good at looking at myself to see where I can improve and what's really important for me to work on, and identifying the people that have done it and making the plan, following that plan. And then what do we have to do it? One of the things is visualizing, seeing it with feeling, making the movie as far as where you want to go and step by step. Serious people never quit. And 90% of our goals is achievable if we are persistent. It really comes down to that. So I don't want to take up any more time, but there are no limits, only the limits that we put on ourselves.
Oh, terrific, Tessa. And, you've said so many things that Mark and I so identify with, because we've been followers of Abraham and Esther Hicks for so long. And for those of you who are not familiar with Esther Hicks and the teaching of Abraham, I really, really recommend you get the book Ask and It Is Given by Esther Hicks. And it's in the university reading list. But for me, changed my life 20 years ago. I mean, really. Went from 52 years old and $450,000 in debt to earning millions in Zango by helping other people get what they were looking for. It's always about the other person. So thank you again so much, Tessa, for sharing. We love hearing from you. And next we have Marilyn Turpinny, and also an East Coast girl. And Marilyn sent me some beautiful slides that we will be able to utilize. And she grew up and actually still lives in the New York area, raised her kids, and been married to her husband, Ron, for 38 years before he sadly passed away a couple years ago. Actually, his anniversary is like any day now of his passing. But she received a bachelor and a master's degree in music education, in vocal performance. Boy, I haven't heard you sing, Marilyn. We may have to have you do that on the Sunday event after the event. Anyway, but she also has elementary education certification, and she has lots of interests like cooking and baking and sewing, to the point where she actually sewed her daughter's silk wedding gown. Oh, my goodness. And the flower girls' dresses and bridesmaids' gown. Oh, my goodness. And sang Jeannie with the light brown hair with her husband's band on the barge as it floated down the river for Rochester's 150th year centennial celebration. Oh, my goodness. Probably lots of wonderful photos from that. And her father was a role model, took courses at Temple University, and always talked about Dale Carnegie. So she had a great influence from her dad with entrepreneurship. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Marilyn, so that you can share your thoughts on Brian Tracy's session for the month of June. Over to you, dear.
Okay. Thank you, Sandy. That was a marvelous bio that you presented on my behalf. I am delighted to present tonight, and I'm going to focus on Lesson 11, how to set and achieve goals. And because of time limits, I'm going to share my reflections amongst his thoughts also. So the goals and time management. Yes, it should be taught in schools, and they need to be written down. In retrospect, I really realized that going through 12 years of school plus college was actually accomplished in increments. Class schedules were set, study time was allocated, meals, a quick run to the store, a 30-minute nap. before the evening concert, practice time, and then you graduate. Time management disappears because I was so scheduled. Even as a music teacher, my class schedules, orchestra, and choir became my time management. Then marriage with family commitments became my time management. And many goals were met that came with the territory. Next, I decided to have my own business. Deciding how much to earn and what I had to do to get it was totally foreign. Over the past 30 years, I have learned a lot. I realized that a systematic process or blueprint was really needed. So I set out to put a process in order. My partner, Jean Marie, helped immensely with brainstorming and proofreading, and we began to implement our all the things that we had learned over many years of being in the business. And suddenly, Zango University appeared. And it was a welcome because now we had validation for what we had put in order. Brian Tracy says that there are 12 points of setting goals for success. The first one is a burning desire. And even though I'd invested many years with companies and had learned so much about products in the industry, my desire is still high because I know that it's possible to make a living with Zango. Regardless of the pay I receive, I get up each day with passion and focus on Zango. Only an occasional documentary or a Downton Abbey will interrupt me on TV. The goals must be personal, so we created forms to remind us of what to write. It is always a joy to empty my brain to put down things that I still desire to accomplish, and there are many. It's good to describe your perfect relationship. What a great idea that is. As a teacher, I took each person where they were and started there. And because of the law of attraction, I'm thinking that I should also describe my perfect customers, business partners, and what my organization might look like. It's important to make a list as if I had hired them, including their education, their personality, temperament, interest, enthusiasm, and leisure time. 2, I believe that my goals are possible. I have no problem with the principle of reversibility, and that is if you act exactly as you would act, if you are absolutely convinced that something was possible for you, the action itself creates the conviction. However, breaking down the goals, and especially financial goals, into increments, my brain goes into mush, especially the financial ones. I'm looking forward to developing in detail those in Lesson 12. So I need to write it down. It will force me to think through and develop clarity on key parts of the business. Otherwise, it's a fantasy, and the plan has no direction. A performer needs to know what the music is, where and when it is to be performed, and with whom and why. I need to know the same thing with a prospective business contact. Number 4, determine your why and why you want the goal. I have lots of whys and dream big. It's exciting. The reasons are the fuel in the furnace of achievement. The more reasons you have, the greater your motivation. 5, you analyze your starting position and you take stock of your current situation. You have to be honest with yourself and increase incrementally, as Tessa said. To be financially independent, you do an analysis of what you are truly worth, and you practice the reality principle. Be honest with your assets. You know, I had never thought to do this. Assessing my own value. Wow. Now, the next one is to set a deadline. A goal is a dream with a deadline and acts as a forcing system. You have to set realistic deadline dates, and I need to do that for 10 goals in the next 12 months. That's nearly 1 goal per month. You have to take them off your mental list, and this activates your mental powers. And then you set sub-deadlines. You make them really tight, weekly, monthly, yearly, and you set lots of deadlines. And it's more likely you will achieve them. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. In fact, even set one for tomorrow. You have to identify, again, Tessa reminded us of that, what your clear obstacles are to overcome, and Mark and Joe also mentioned it. Where a great goal or attainment can be attained, you have great obstacles. And Brian Tracy says that's an activity. So 80% of our obstacles are internal, within ourselves, and are contained in really one big obstacle. So we have to identify our rocks of Gibraltar that have fallen on our path on the way to the goal, and then decide, how do we remove it? What one skill in your current work, if you have developed it and became excellent in it consistently over time, would have the greatest positive impact on your life or career? The greatest thing is, he says, is that we already know the answer. We have to plant the seed, and if we want to get the harvest, we have to go through that motion. And so I ask, how can you acquire the personal knowledge and skills that you must have? And we do it by doing things like this. We have to identify the groups and the organizations whose help you will require. And no one does anything alone. It's more fun together. Who can help you the most to attain your goals? What's in it for them? How can you earn their support? How can you deserve their support? And what can you do to cause others whose help you need to want to help you? And 10, you have to make a plan. You have to make a list of activities where and when and why you want your goal. The list includes all the obstacles you have to overcome, the people's help you need, and the skills that you need to help you overcome them. So, as mentioned before, you have to organize the list by chronology and sequence. All successful people are list makers. And I know as a music teacher, we did this all the time for concerts, student progress, and events. I must apply this concept to the business planning too. 11 is that you have to affirm your goal. Imagine your goal as already created. I realized that I had done this many times. For my master's in music degree, I visualized singing an hour recital from memory in 4 languages. It didn't matter the hours of practice it took to do that. Another instance was to honor a classmate who was a POW MIA for 40 years. We are on a little executive team. We created a garden of recognition and a dedication program. And since my sister Vivian, who's on the call, and I were the only 2 musician grads in the class, she offered to conduct the orchestra. So I said that I'd find the 50-piece orchestra and the 50-member chorus, plus sing the solos. Well, the reality of that hit about a month before that, and I realized that I would have to find all these people. So it was an awesome project, and we visualized it, and I visualized who needed to be there, and it happened. It was awesome. So now I need to see myself earning money. This is really hard because, except for teaching, I've volunteered my whole life. I welcome earning money. However, money doesn't drive me. I need to say, I expect to earn $50,000 a year, and I'm earning $20K now. I will also visualize my goals that will lead me to this earning capacity. I need to act as if I were achieving that goal. And Brian says, how would you feel if you had already attained the goal? He says it drops you into your subconscious and activates your superconscious mind and causes all kinds of things to happen. And one way to track this is through a Smart Track goal sheet, which I have, not attached here. It's an excellent way to track this, and it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, or achievable, realistic or relevant, and timely goals. And lastly, number 12, you have to back your goals and plans with persistence and determination. Apparently, in the past school of thought, girls didn't need to go to college. When I learned this fact, I became unstoppable. I was determined to get a bachelor's and master's degree, and I did it no matter what it took to get me there. Every time you persist, your belief intensifies. When your belief intensifies, your desire intensifies. When your desire intensifies, your motivation intensifies, which makes you more driven to persist in the attainment of your goals, which increases your self-esteem, your self-belief, and your motivation and desire, which causes you to persist even more. Whew. Persistence is the measure of how much you believe is possible. And finally, there are no real limits to what you can accomplish, except for the limits you place on yourself. And thank you for listening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Marilyn, and also for the beautiful slides. And what happened, I'm not sure, I lost connectivity with the internet, and I think they can hear us, but maybe not see the slides. So I'm just going to pause the sharing for one moment, and I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then hit resume sharing. And if those in the chat room can tell me if the visual of the slides came back. The next slide I have is Think It, then Ink It. And Marilyn, I just loved what you were sharing. There is so much value in what you had to say, but most importantly is what you're personally experiencing by going through this. And I'm going to do a little summary now, and I sure hope the slides are showing because my grandson Jared did all the slides on the balance of this presentation. So I'm not sure, I'm hearing no slides are showing, which is an absolute bummer, but maybe there's a way that they can be uploaded later into the university, because to me, visualization, the more senses we use, auditory, visual, the more we absorb. So I'm going to continue with a little bit of summary, and the slide says Think It, then Ink It. And almost everybody mentioned this, and I think it was either, maybe it was Tessa or Marilyn that said there's scientific evidence that when you put that pen to paper, very different than even typing on a computer, there is something that happens that creates an energy field, if you will, and magical things start to happen. Just absolutely amazing. And Dr. Santry has degrees that have degrees that have degrees, and he's chatting here about, you know, using the auditory, the kinesthetic, etc. I mean, this is so important to think on paper and make lists. So one of the call to actions I have for you is I've asked most of you to get a new spiral notebook at Target, Walmart, it doesn't matter, and start putting things on paper. And most of us, if not all of us, have a smart device, whether it's a Mac product or an Android phone, that all have calendars. So my challenge to you before you go to bed tonight and every night, I want you to put in your calendar all the things that you plan to accomplish tomorrow. And I used to use a database management system called ACT by Symantec, which was expensive, and I spent thousands of dollars just to learn how to use it. But they had rollover activities, and it got to the point where I had so many rollover activities that never got done that I couldn't live long enough to finish them all. So I don't do those rollover things anymore, but I do choose priority activities. In other words, what are the most toughest income-producing activities that you need to do to get your goals accomplished. And, fear of failure, everybody talks about. Fear of failure is probably the toughest thing to overcome, but I promise you, if you have a burning desire, the fear eventually is overcome. It's an obstacle that you conquer. And your burning desire should be so exciting that you really can't sleep at night because you can't wait to wake up in the morning, and when your feet hit the ground, you're on fire to help change people's lives. And you must have an intense belief. And by the way, if you'd like these slides, we're going to make sure that they're posted in Zango University for you, because some of these images are just wonderful. You must have an intense conviction. Jared chose this one. I mean, think about it. A 13-year-old starting to understand the power of where it's possible to end up. And you have to have intense conviction and know what you want. And you've got to ask this to yourself. And I want you to write this down in that notebook. And if you've worked with me in the past, I ask these questions all the time. What do you want? And don't say to be financially free. Don't say just to travel. It has to be in detail. What do you want? Second question, why do you want it? And again, in detail. Third question, what are the consequences if you don't achieve it? That's a biggie. And what are you willing to do and sacrifice to get the job done? Does it mean you have to get up an hour earlier, go to bed an hour later, always have lunch with a potential customer or a potential business partner? But what do you want? Why do you want it? What are the consequences if you don't achieve it? And what are you willing to do and sacrifice to get the job done? It's that simple. And not only does Ryan Tracy talk about this, but this is a big one for Les Brown. If it's not written down, you're almost guaranteed to fail. Now think about that. If it's not written down, you're almost guaranteed you're not going to get what you want. And the key is, how badly do you want it? What's his name? Les Brown says, are you hungry? Are you really, really hungry? And that's what you've got to know. And Jared found this slide that I love, and it's by Brian Tracy. Only 3% of adults have written goals, and everyone else works for them. And I think it was one or two of our co-hosts that said that. I'm going to repeat it again. 3% of adults have written goals. Everybody else works for that 3%. So today is your day to make a decision. Are you going to be part of the 3% who are entrepreneurs? Or are you going to be part of the 97% that feed the 3%ers? Whatever you believe with feeling becomes your reality. I think Tessa mentioned this. And it's interesting because that's why I love Esther Hicks and the teachings of Abraham, because she actually got what she teaches through Napoleon Hill and the book Think and Grow Rich. And hopefully everyone rereads that book every year, even if it's a chapter a week. But it's Napoleon Hill that Esther Hicks has adopted because it's the feeling that you put to a goal. How is it going to feel emotionally, which will help you get what you want? And the truth is, nobody that's alive today has extra time. We are all time starved. So if that's true, if you're busy with family, with church, with charity, with a job, where are you going to find the time to build your freedom? So that's why writing things down, scheduling what you need to do, literally from the minute your feet hit the floor in the morning. And this slide talks about skills, knowledge, ability. And the beautiful part about this is that you don't have to be smart like Mark and go to Stanford and MIT. You don't have to be smart like Marilyn and end up with degrees that have degrees in music and education. In network marketing, it's simple. Just acquire the skills and the knowledge that you need that the successful people have. So what do the successful people do and say? And that's why we went to so much trouble and expense to create Zango University. And if you're not yet a member of Zango University, send me an email, and Marilyn or anyone, Tessa, if you could type it in the chat window to faculty@XU Worldwide, faculty@XU Worldwide. If you're not yet a scholar, I can send you a 3-day pass so that you can experience the thousands and thousands of dollars worth of resources that are there for you to acquire the knowledge, the skills, and the ability to get to where you want to go. Tessa, thank you so much. Now, when everybody was talking about obstacles, we all have obstacles in life. If you've ever read Dr. Scott Peck's book, The Road Less Challenged, life is difficult. So once you understand that, you need to know that to accomplish great things takes hard work. I mean, it's just a fact of life. So let's just get the job done and figure out who can help me. Who are the people in Zango that you can reach out to? And hopefully they're faculty members of the university. Now, our call to action tonight. Here's our call to action. Jared found this great slide about call to action, and I'm bummed that the internet disconnected, and I have no idea why. But anyway, the call to action tonight is to write down those 4 questions, but also answer them. What do you want? Why do you want it? What are the consequences if you don't achieve it? And what are you willing to do and sacrifice to get the job done? What are your goals? What are your daily commitments to MDC? Because you should be aspiring to join the MDC, which is the $1 Million Club, but you cannot do that if you don't have your MDC, which is your minimum daily contacts. So how many samples a day are you giving out of the high-impact products? And Tessa called me, and she said, you know, Sandi, for the second part of Brian's training, it would be great if you could talk about the money goals. And I'm much like, I don't know who said it, somebody said their mind turns to financial mush when it comes to numbers. Truth is, I'm exactly like that. I don't even like dealing with numbers. However, I know what I need to do to get the job done. So we are going to talk a little bit about the Business Academy that Zango is having. They just had one maybe 2 weeks ago. There's another one in August that's already filled. So you need to make sure to know when the next Business Academy is, and you need to do whatever you can do to get to Utah, because it's only $99, and it's my understanding, which I hope is true, that you end up getting $400 worth of product samples to give away, but 2 days of intense training. You also need to make sure that you are at convention. This is going to be the biggest convention in the 13-year history of our company. First time ever there are products, I said plural. Now, I'm under a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't tell too much, except that those who attend convention will be at least 6 to 8 months ahead in their business than those who do not, and will also be getting available special new product package pricing. So you absolutely, oh, Tessa, thank you. She was at the Business Academy. See, she steps up, and it was $99, and they gave each attendee $400 in product. Somebody told me that, and I thought, that's not possible. I mean, why would, that's incredible. So it's like, oh my gosh, plus all the training I heard, it was amazing. In fact, we're going in August. So really, really important. Events are not negotiable. You got to go to ZangoRush.com. And if you're in Zango less than 60 days, you've got an incredible deal for $20 for a $129 convention ticket. If you're in Zango longer than 60 days, Eddie and I and some of the other leaders bought discounted tickets for only $49 a piece. Not $129, but $49. So if you need a ticket, let us know. Send an email again to faculty@xuworldwide.com or to my direct email. But what's also important to think about, for not $49, take a friend, a potential business partner to come with you to convention. That will be the game changer for all of you. And remember this saying, and Jared found this one as well. If it's to be, it's up to me. Now think about that. If it's to be, it's up to me. If you were to open a nail salon, or you were to open a pharmacy, or you were to open any business, if you were going to open a health food store, who do you depend on? It's you. You are the CEO of your business, but also your own life. You are responsible for where you are and where you are going. So how do you accelerate your success? If you knew you could not fail, would you write down your goals tonight before you go to bed? Write them down. And if you would, share them with me. Send me an email at faculty@xuworldwide.com. And what's important about the Zango University is we are committed to helping you learn and helping you do what needs to be done to accomplish your goals. Now, I'm assuming, hold on one second. It says share custom region, but it's still not sharing. Okay. I have here a chart of what structure you need to be a 5K. And that means 3 personally sponsored people with a total of $5,000 in volume. With the new plan, the new volume-driven plan, you could even technically do this in 2 legs. Even though we don't recommend it, you could do that. And, of course, we've got the chart with if everybody just gets 3 personally sponsored business partners and everyone just sponsors 1 person a month, not a day, a month, 1 person a month. If you go down just 5 levels, you're talking about 243 people on your team and a monthly average income of about $1,800 a month. But the slide I'm showing now is the power of 3. And I want to stay with that right now because the power of 3 is really the message that you want to share with everyone. And all this training is in the university. If you go to Zalo3D.com, you don't need scholar access to get to that. So it's Zalo3D.com. And it talks about defining your why, setting your goals, etc. But what I wanted to share with you was the numbers. And very, very quickly, since you cannot see the slides, I'll just move along to the one that shows the numbers. And thank you, Jean Marie. No slides coming up. I guess they disconnected when I lost the internet, but thank goodness we've got still voice. So think about this. There's 3 different packs, Zalo 3D packs. There's a good, a better, and a best. It's really important that you know these options. And if you do not have this in front of you when you're talking with people, again, send an email to faculty@XUWorldwide, and I will send you the PDF. But there's a pack that, let me just move this slide down a little bit. There is a pack that is a $259 pack. That's That's not the best, but it's a good way to start a business with 200 personal volume, but it has over $400 retail value, which gives you 60 of the Ignite, 60 of the Limitless, and 60 of the Reload. So just remember that, 60 of each for the Zalo 3D pack. There is a mini pack, which, for probably people like the Gen Y generation, the kids that, are working minimum wage. The 3D Mini is only $165 with 100 PV, but it only gives you 40 of each of the high impact Zalo Pro products. The best way to come in my opinion, is the juiced pack, which not only has 3 boxes, that's 60, of Ignite, Limitless, and Reload. It has a case of juice, which has 4 bottles, and it also has the Zalo Ageless. That's really the best way to come in, which is $499.99, and you get over $700 in retail product. So let's talk now about some numbers. And remembering about the power of 3. And we all know the 80-20 rule, right? We all know the 80-20 rule. So if you're doing, let's say, you're giving out 1 pack a day. Now, a pack includes the Ignite, the Limitless, and the Reload. And I often tell people, try the Limitless by itself so you see what it tastes like. And then add the Ignite to the Limitless, because I think more is better. So I honestly take all 3 at once in what I call a pro cocktail. But if you give out 1 a day, at the end of 30 days, you will hopefully have 3 new business partners. And when we talk about the Power Start bonus of 25%, you're going to get $150. And if you continue to give out to a person every single day at the end of 30 days, just like the 80-20 rule, now you'll probably also have people who say, right now I just want to be a customer and enjoy the products at the wholesale pricing. So if they buy the Zalo 3D pack at $259 with 200 personal volume, you're going to earn an additional 15% on each of those 3 people, which is $90. So when you add the $90 to the $150 on the Power Start, you can actually earn $240 that first month. Now, it makes sense if you're giving out to prospects 1 pack a day. What would the money look like if you gave out 3 packs a day to 3 different people? That income would triple. You would be making 3 times the money with earning $720 instead of $240. So if you're really aggressive and you're around people, or you write your list and you give out 5 samples a day to 5 prospects, the 80-20 rule, you're going to make 5 times the money, but you'll only have to invest 3 times the initial investment, but make $1,150. So if you want these slides, again, we're going to post them in the university for you. So I also wanted to mention in closing about the branded iPad mini giveaway. Who on the call is trying to get the free branded iPad that they're going to award at convention, and everybody's going to come on stage at convention. And I hope they have enough support for all the people that are coming up on stage to get their iPad mini. So there you go. Vivian is going to get an iPad mini. Way to go, Vivian. So what do we have to do? And it's not too late to still be in the contest. You personally have to purchase one of the Zalo 3D packs. It could be the mini, it could be the juice pack, or just the 3D pack. So you have to purchase a Zalo 3D pack for 2 consecutive months. So you could order even 2 mini ones. It doesn't matter as long as you order 2 personal 3D packs. And then bring in 10 new customers or distributors with a minimum of 100 ADP within the next 60 days, because the contest ends August 31st. That also is the precursor to winning the trip. So when you do this and you have 2 new people with 100 personal volume each, not only did you win the iPad mini, but you've also got 100 trip points towards the 5-star trip to the Mexican Riviera. So you can have both the iPad and the trip. So in closing, decide once and for all that you are going to have an extraordinary life and live life like it should be, because you do have a millionaire mind. And thank you to my co-host for joining us tonight. And if anyone else would like to step up and learn and do, just send me an email at faculty@xuworldwide.com. We appreciate all of you. And let's go and do our call to action before we go to bed. And, of course, looking forward to seeing everyone at convention. By the way, I sent out an email that was in the Las Vegas Review-Journal that Mayweather is fighting at the MGM Grand that weekend. So Vegas is as crazy as Vegas is, it's going to be even more nuts with all the fight fans that are coming to town. So secure your convention tickets and make sure you secure your hotel space as well. And with that, to everyone who has a millionaire mind, I say yes to you and success. So love you all, and have a great, productive week. Bye for now.